Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. In today's video, we're just going to have some relaxing fun with some polymer clay and some stamps. You would have seen this before on my channel where I use lots of things and inlays and things like that to emboss polymer. I figured we could do some more and have some fun. I have some sections down below in my Amazon storefronts where you will find everything polymer clay and everything stamp related. I got these gorgeous stamps from Amazon, super Halloweeny and so cute. I guess they are really made for card making and scrapbooking and things, but we're going to be embossing some clay with them. You'll need a rolling pin and you will need some blades with cutters, but be careful, these are sharp. I have injured myself in a previous video. Now I'm going to use my cookie cutters as well. Initially my plan was to use some black polymer clay, dust it over with chameleon powders and emboss my stamps. The aim of the game here was to get something looking like this, which is what I made last year on my channel. But guys, it didn't work. It was not working for me this time. It doesn't have the same kind of oohs and ahs. So I decided to opt for going with white clay and some coloured clay. Now, this white clay I've already conditioned through my pasta maker and it has picked up some of the black clay, which has worked really well in my favour. It's given it like a dark grey marble, which is kind of nice. And then I'm using my Stays On black permanent ink just to see if I can stamp into polymer clay. At this point, I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if I would continue filming, and oh my goodness me, I love it. I love it so much. It was at this stage I knew we have to continue. This was the first one out and it was a little bit dirty because that stamp still had some of the chameleon powder on. But again, you can roll with it. It's Halloween. It kind of doesn't really matter what the end result looks like in my eyes anyway. So I just used my cookie cutter to cut it out in the circle that I wanted. Not necessarily keeping all of the print in there, but just to give me this gorgeous pendant. Now, here's where I had way too much fun. So I've got some really old clay. Now, I don't really know how to blend colours properly. I am definitely not a polymer clay professional and my skill level is definitely questionable, but guys, it's all about having fun and relaxing. You put the radio on, grab a cup of tea and do what you got to do just to have some fun. I just put it back through my pasta roller, which was given to me by Wendy at Toonfish Crafts. Thank you so much, Wendy. I love it. This really saves your hands from having to condition the clay because trust me, my clay was crumbly. It was like biscuit. It was crumbly biscuit. But I follow this incredible clay artist on Instagram and I met her back in May at Maker Central. I watched her demonstrations. She's next level elite. She was telling me that there is no polymer clay that cannot be reconditioned. Well, after learning that and knowing that I've got a whole pack of polymer clay that's been sitting on my shelf for I want to say 6 to maybe 10 years, guys, it was crumbly as, like biscuit crumbs, crumbly. It took an hour and a half, no lie, to bring it back, to recondition it, putting it back through the pasta roller over and over and over. So I massively appreciate the advice she gave me. Again, I cannot blend polymer clay, but it's okay because we are here to have fun and that is what matters. So I smudged some colours together to get me a gorgeous, almost ombre purpley pink, and I just had some fun with the old ancient clays that have been sitting on my shelf for years. Knowing that the black ink worked, it just meant that I could just relax and have fun with the colour backgrounds. I mean, they're not all bright and super wow, but you know, that is not the point. We were here to just relax and have fun. These stamps are so detailed, so cute, and then you just use your cookie cutter to make them nice and neat and bring them round into pendants. Now, these could really be anything. You could make fridge magnets depending on the size of your stamp. You could make tiny little pumpkin earrings. I mean, look at those pumpkins. If you've got a tiny stamp, you could just cut them out and have the cutest little earrings. I decided to just keep going, having fun, blending some colours together, smushing them together. I ended up with this beautiful purple. I mean, it doesn't get any more Halloween perfect than this. Again, using the ink, using my stamps. Now, out of this stamp set, I really only went back to the same 3 stamps. Now, that's for 2 reasons. A, I love circles. I love the circle aesthetic. B, I only have circle cookie cutters. I don't have rectangular or square cookie cutters. Now, also, because I like circles, do you know what I mean? You could use your craft blade or your X-Acto knife or your clay blade to cut rectangles and squares, but it was the circles that were winning me over. So I decided at this point, let's try the gold ink on black clay. If it works, then oh my goodness me, look at this. So I sat there and I looked around and I realized I've got silver and gold ink. Let's go back to the black and check it out, guys. It is gorgeous. Now, here's the thing. I did press quite hard on my stamp. You really don't need to. Like, this one's a lot better. At this point, you're really just printing. You're just using your stamp to print and not necessarily embed or inlay, if that makes any sense. Emboss, that's the word. You don't really need to dig too deeply with your stamp because the ink is doing all of the work. And at this point, I didn't even know if not only would these work, but would they even come out of the oven okay? Like, would the ink still be there? Or would the oven just like break down the ink in some way? Like I said, I love polymer clay, but I know very little about it. I just go with it and have fun. After 4 hours, and I mean 4 whole hours of just having fun. Look at this gorgeous, moody, kind of blended purple and grey sky. I kind of called it a day after 4 hours. Once I was happy with everything I made, I put them in the oven at the lowest possible temperature, around 100 degrees, for 2 to 3 hours. And after that time, I brought them out, I let them cool, and this is about 2 hours later. We're going to use some of the glitters and sequins from Yvonne at Resin Supplies Den just to add a little something something. Now, again, this is optional, but I just wanted to use these bats so badly. And again, I wanted to use the moons and the stars. I'm not going to just kind of like cover them up completely. I just felt like some of these have got really like big spaces in the center of the stamp, and I just felt like they needed a little something. I've just hung this bat upside down from the tree. I'm so easily pleased, guys. I was like, okay, we need a bat hanging upside down from a tree because, you know. So some of these just literally got 1, 2, 3 or 4 stars and maybe 1 or 2 bats. Whereas for others like this one, I felt like I could really go more and put more stars in there. I think what would also work with these is that if you had like a monogram, like a initial stamp, like alphabet letters, and you were gifting to a friend or a loved one, you could put their initial letter for their name right in the center of the stamp. Or you could even use Cricut vinyl and put a monogrammed initial in the center of these stamps. I think that would look absolutely gorgeous. Again, depending on what they're then going to be used for. Then I realized they glow. I mean, again, I know such little about polymer. Does polymer glow in the dark? Because as soon as I put them under the UV light to cure that first thin layer, they were positively glowing under there. So that's new to me. Like, I've not noticed that. Or have I? I don't even know anymore. What day is it? Once I was happy and everything was kind of cured and the bats and the stars and the moons were all cured in place, it was time to top coat them. So again, I've sped this up because I was going really, really slowly, bringing that UV resin out to all of the edges with my cocktail stick just to get it where I wanted it before hitting it with my torch. Now, I had my torch there on the lowest setting, so be safe when it comes to torches. It was on a really low setting. Get rid of all the air bubbles and get them under the UV lamp. Now, initially they went under for 200 seconds, but I figured I need these to be super done and robust, so I did put them under for another 200 seconds. But again, depending on your UV resin, you do whatever works best for you. These do not need to have a UV resin top coat. You can actually use polyurethane varnish, but that is entirely up to you. At this point, I saw my potion bottles sitting on the shelf from this video. If you remember, I think this was literally 2 weeks ago. I decided we're going to put them all together and make some super fun, bright, funky keychains. I used my silver and gold deco colour pens to add a little bit of something to the potion bottles, and then it was time to assemble every single one. I am using my go-to jewellery drill. This is from Amazon. Again, all linked below in the jewellery section. I'm using some screw eyelets, some key rings. What you use is entirely up to you, and jump rings, because this is like a multi-layered process. We're going to need a lot of jump rings. And I have come to the conclusion that assembling key rings and making key rings are two separate things. I love making key rings. I'm not a fan of the assembly, and I don't know if it's up there with sanding. But guys, when you've got so many to assemble, it is like, oh my gosh, someone come and save me, please. I just screwed right into the tops of each bottle, and I screwed through the face of the pendants. Now, you don't have to go through the face if you didn't want to. You could go down on the edge. So you could screw down in the side on the edge where you do not see the hole. But I thought for longevity and to make them more sturdy, I wanted to screw through the face of the pendants. And then I just threaded my jump rings through. I definitely need bigger jump rings. These were tight. Like, I made it work, but only because I had to force it. But I definitely need bigger jump rings. I then screwed an eyelet down into the tops of the bottles, added another jump ring, and added that onto the top of the keychain, using my tools to close those jump rings firmly. One more jump ring into the tassel, back onto the top of the keychain, and that is the whole thing assembled. Now, I think when you add clusters like this, it just makes everything look so nice. And on their own, these pendants are cute and all, and I love them. But together with the potion bottle and a tassel, I'm full on obsessed. I love them so much. Now, if you are a polymer clay artist, you'll already know that using ink and stamps works perfectly well on polymer clay. But for me, I hadn't looked it up. I just thought I'd have some fun and see what happens. These are the results. I absolutely love some of the colours that we got, but I love the fact that I've added so many elements together in one keychain. This one has to be my favourite, guys. It absolutely has to be, alongside this pastel pink one. How am I suddenly loving pastel pink? Someone tell me. But I do love the blacks and the purples as well. And this one here with the ghosts, the moody sky, I love that. I'm not the biggest fan of the gold. I know. I needed to try it. It did work, but I'm not the biggest fan. I prefer the silver and black. It's definitely much more my aesthetic. I didn't have enough thingamybobs and, you know, the doobies to go on. I didn't have enough tassels for everything I made. But I've used what I had, and here they are. I absolutely love them. This was the most therapeutic 4 hours of my life. I love the results, and honestly guys, if you're looking for a relaxing craft, you don't need UV resin. Remember, you can use polyurethane, so you don't even need to be doing resin to be doing something like this. It is definitely one to get lost in, put your headphones in, grab a cup of tea, and just get creating. And there's absolutely no pressure or stress, and I love them. They're rough around the edges, but you know, handmade with love, not perfection. I hope you found this inspirational, and I hope you get your hands on some polymer clay and just have fun and don't even think about the outcome, because that is the best part of this. Thank you so much if you've been here in the live chat the whole time. We got 250 friends in the live chat in my last video. Like, my mind was utterly blown. Cannot imagine ever reaching that number again, if I'm honest. But hey, thank you so much if you are here, and thank you so much if you're watching the video outside of the live chat. I massively appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.